Yeah, go ahead.
We'll call to order the regular school board meeting for July 2024. Let's call the roll.
I can Wolf. Here. Ruckles. Here. Alaska.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Student rep Henning. Here. Absent Coons. And it's not coming out. What we're just. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to anyone who's going to listen online afterwards. We got a relatively straightforward agenda. I know people have weekdays set up to get through, so we'll get through this. Celebration achievement status.
Just want to shout out to our softball team that will play in Fort Dodge on Tuesday at 10 a.m.
Which starts since 2016.
Yep, yep, bottom of the seventh. The score to win 4-3. 3 of the 8 schools in 3A are WAMAC. So we open up against #1 Benton. And Waynesburg's going into the tournament ranked 2. So.
What are we seeing?
8.
Okay.
But I remember a baseball team in 2016. That we went in with a losing record.
Yeah.
Linderbaum would have been a sophomore that
Yeah.
year, and we 10-run #1 Waller in opening round. So.
Yeah. That's good.
Focus on learning.
Yeah.
Josh has some data.
We like data.
It's broad data that he put together, and then a lot of the data that we dug into earlier. Went to principals putting together their plan on a page for the year, their building goals and priorities. And we'll have the principals in August to talk about the plan on the page and answer any questions about data that you may have specifically to their building.
So yeah, like David said, just kind of a broad overview, included ISAS results. The state, we don't currently have state comparison data yet. I think that'll come out mid-August, September, so we can kind of see where we are in comparison to that. But this is the data that I've compiled. The individual student reports did come out. We're going to get those on Power School probably hopefully next week. I'm thinking we have all the codes to get access to that stuff, so which is way earlier than we had it last year. Last year I think we didn't get until September, so we just got it. So but just to kind of start off with the ELA percent proficient for ISASP, I included 2021, 2022, 23, and 24, the current year. And just to kind of take a broad stroke here, this year is in green. And as you can see, you know, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we're not quite where we want to be in regards to those results. 6th, 7th, but we rebound 6th, 7th, and 8th. 8th grade is probably our star that we really were excited about in regards to some of their scores there. Then math, again, not quite where we want to be with 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Since the data came out in end of April, May, we've been having a lot of conversations with SIS in regards to this data as well, and really trying to think through what are some of the variables that may be getting in our way of the results that we want to see. Again, ISASP is one time a year. But it is data that we do take a look at. But as you can see, 6th, 7th, 8th, and on up, we really rebound. We have really strong scores at that level. So one of the things that Davis and I have been talking with SIS about is visiting with and doing more collaboration with middle school staff to really identify what are you doing that's making a difference for ELA, as well as I would say math, in regards to some of their work they're doing. We realize that obviously they all teach one subject area and they're really focused and honed in on that, but we really are going to try to do more collaboration with fourth, fifth, and sixth, seven, and eight to really to identify some of the strategies or things that are working well.
Gosh,
Mm-hmm.
everyone's just different data sets than we used to have, like.
Yeah.
Cohort data, so that.
I have it. I have it. Yes.
I
Yep.
like the charts, but they mean nothing
Yep.
to me that.
No, SIAC has been great because they kind of bring that same thing up. Hey, we want to see where, where the cohorts. So that's coming up here. Then science proficiency. Typically, we're always way above the state. I think the state is usually around 50 to 55% proficient, and we're typically well above that. Our middle school science is really strong, and our high school science is really strong as well.
Yeah, NAEP school.
We take NAEP. We do it every year. I think it's fourth and eighth. We're chosen, but it's just a sample size group. We don't take it.
We don't get the results from that.
Not specific to our school.
No, not specific to our school. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very macro.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. Mhm. Yep. Here's your cohort data. So just to kind of orient, so these are the testing years. And obviously the subjects tested, and then the CO stands for class of 30. Yep. So third graders in 2024. So this is the first time they've taken this. So 2021 third graders, and now as sixth graders in 2024. No, we took it, the first time was in 2019. I just put it together for after the pandemic.
Because we didn't do it in 20.
We didn't do it in 20.
Yeah.
We skipped 20. So I kind of left the 2019 off. Yeah. 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 So from here, because I debated leaving on 2019, but it's just like, whatever. So from pandemic on, yeah, we're going to keep it pretty consistent in terms of what we look at. So.
Does the ISAP data get you down to the domain level?
Not
System
not like it used to, not like Iowa tests,
Okay.
Iowa tests, or Iowa assessments.
Yeah,
They give us domains. And I think actually, I stand corrected. I haven't seen like district-wide domain. We can dig down into, I think, individual students right now. So like when you look at Ruby's scores, you'll be able to see when you get that report, or when you pull that up, there's like the little domain pieces that shows how many correct out of how many.
It's just score versus on the scale.
Right. Mhm.
So it's not, you don't have the full performance levels in there. Because this is just the one cut, the proficiency.
This is just proficiency right
Just
now.
proficiency,
Yeah.
it doesn't
I mean,
tell
I can probably pull some other pieces, but it would take some.
level, how
Yeah.
close, how many.
There's some other reports that we can look.
Exceeding versus just proficient.
Yeah.
This is anything above the proficient.
Right. Yeah. So right now, this is just proficient and above. Mhm.
And versus, I think, do they offer 3 or 4 categories? I can't remember.
Or,
Performance levels.
it's just 3, not proficient, or not proficient, proficient, and
Exceeding.
above proficient, or
Okay.
exceeding,
Or exceeding.
whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Mhm.
Cause I think it would be good to get that data, and I do like the cohort data, but just going back, if you go back a slide.
Mhm.
We can't just look at cohort data, because when you're trying to figure out your systematic approach to how you are impacting
Mhm.
student outcomes at every grade, you have to understand, am I, as preparing students for, like, for example, literacy, a lot of data behind read by 3, making sure your students can read by 3,
Yep.
third grade.
Yep.
Are we preparing our students for literacy? By the time they get to third grade, our students in third grade coming in? And by the time they graduate from the third grade or promote from the third grade, are they hitting those proficiency levels that we desire for them?
Right. Mhm.
And if not, then we gotta go back a grade level or 2 and take a look at the curriculum
Yeah.
to see what we're doing inside the classrooms and the quality and effectiveness of the teaching that is happening, to understand whether or not
Right.
there's something we need to move in order to
Right.
increase those
Right.
outcomes.
I think that's where, with our benchmark assessment and especially our more of the reading records, trying to dig deeper into, okay, what's happening, because that's at the instructional level of what's happening in the classroom.
Correct.
So that's, I mean, I think we value that data even more because it's real-time data that we're looking at.
Yes.
And then, I mean, we're gonna take a look at map data real quick. But that's where we're doing that 3 times a year. Right now, we're just doing math. Next year, we're gonna incorporate at the 4th grade level, reading map data for the clustering component. We're piloting next year and to try to see what kind of impact that has. That
And I know
structure.
we've been going back and forth on email about this, but that's where I hope, like at the board table and at this group, that we, like next year as a goal for our teams, that we do a better job of actually surfacing this data more regularly. While this data is systematically what we need and what we're held accountable for,
Mhm.
being able to catch it early and understand.
Right. This is too late.
systematic.
This is too late. Yeah.
It just tells you systematically
Yeah.
what we need to do in these
Right.
grades. But individually and inside every classroom is where the other data comes in, and
Right.
being able to catch
Yeah.
it soon enough in the fall or in the
Yeah.
winter, so that our accountability scores
Mhm.
Move.
Yeah. Yep.
We refer to this as autopsy data.
Yeah.
Patient's dead, we can go back and, I mean, instead of wellness checks along the way to determine, you
Yeah.
know, oh, fever, we need to do something about it and
Mhm.
make adjustments as we go along.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where we have some of our,
Patients is dead, but let's make sure we prevent this next year from occurring.
right,
By more frequent checks instead of waiting till the very end.
Right, or do, like, what do we need, what lever do we need to push and change?
Yep.
right.
Um,
And that's something where the buildings have really strengthened some of their work with the MTSS process
Well,
and digging into a data wall, like doing data wall pretty consistently.
when we have teachers here, and you ask the question, what can we do to support you? We ask the same questions because we know that's what you're gonna ask them and we're gonna support. And for example, as we look through the data and as we break down components of reading and those building blocks within reading, Holly and her team were telling us that the kids are struggling in kindergarten with, they need more decodable
Mhm.
text.
Yep.
So we dropped what,
$50,000.
on decodable text to flood the classrooms and provide teachers some support. You know, this is how you're gonna use the decodable text within this reading block to better equip these kids. So as you say, by the time they leave kindergarten, that skill is done and we can build upon that come 1st grade.
And that's what we want principals to come in August to say, okay, based on
This is what
the data set told us last year, not just ISAS, but all the pieces. And then taking a look at, okay, here are the resources that we're putting in place. Here's the professional development. And here's what our implementation ideas are to get this, which I think
Right.
addresses some of your questions
So
too.
then on the positive side, we look at 8th grade, and we say, wow,
Yeah.
96% of
Yeah.
our students are at or above proficient level.
Right.
What did we do to
Mhm.
impact that to come to be?
Right.
We use the same resources at the intermediate school as we do for ELA, as we do at the middle school. So the consistency that we've seen at the middle school, we've asked ourselves, why are they getting the results different than what we're getting the results
Because you're using similar material.
Using similar, so same
Mhm.
instructional practices and things like that. So we had a lot of conversations with the middle school coach, Teresa Berg, and with Julie, who's been, you know, in front of the board several times. And we've got plans to do more partnering with those 4-8 ELA teams, groups, and utilize some of the things that they're doing, infuse some of those things that they're doing into the practices of the intermediate school.
Yeah.
So lots of conversations are taking place.
Is there concern when you think about eighth grade versus fourth grade in terms of where they're at intellectually? Strategies that work in eighth grade may not translate to a fourth grader.
Correct. Correct. We're not, yes, you're correct. And we're being very conscious about those things. And we're having conversations with outside our district too, as far as some of this stuff too.
Well, there's, I mean, usually like. Or big geek out, but there's a vertical articulation of the skills that your age appropriateness and the way you teach it may be different, but you're still fractions is fractions is
Yeah.
fractions. You learn at fourth
Right.
grade to see, you
Right.
learn fractions in eighth grade.
100%.
Yeah.
I think it's always just what they can accomplish.
Right. And I think it has to do with some different scaffolding. So like I know SAS are one of their main literacy focuses is strategy groups to really hone in on the skills that kids are lacking in regards to some of what they're coming with, which I think gets at your point, Tim, of that scaffolding piece.
Well, we moved from illustrative math to, I think, Desmos.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
so,
Yep.
you
It's-
know, the impact, like
Mhm.
just the science behind their methodology and how
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
might be more rigorous, might actually have a better effect size than some
Right.
programs we're using.
Right.
And other grades.
Well, I'm just, we've been using the new perspectives and we've questioned a little bit, but man, the teachers really think that the learning that's happening is not just procedural in math, it really is conceptual based. So it's looking at that, it's that dichotomy of, okay, do you do this versus this? And trying to make that balance, and is what they're doing in fourth and fifth grade, is that having an impact when they all of a sudden go to sixth grade and all of a sudden they jump because now they're putting maybe some of the pieces together conceptually for the kids. I mean, that's one of my theories.
Build on each other, right?
Mhm.
Really, at some point, it seems to be sinking in, it's kind of the same streamline.
Yeah. And that's where we're struggling, like with the math piece, when we're looking, we're like, man, we got all the pieces in place and we've got Dreambox that we're utilizing as a supplemental tool that has an impact on that. We're utilizing MAP scores and we're seeing progress and success in our MAP scores, but it's not translating into ISAS when we take this assessment. But we have all these pieces in place. We're adding math bridges as a intervention tool, a component which aligns with illustrative, aligns with the Desmos, and aligns with new perspectives pieces too. So that's where it's.
In our next session, I'll tell you
Mhm.
a little bit, and part of that may be
Mhm.
because this test is based on Iowa standards.
Yeah.
And
Right. What we're,
NWA and Dreambox
aren't, right.
are skill based.
Right.
So
Mhm.
that's where
There's probably that disconnect. Yeah.
there could not be touching on the standards that this assessment is actually. Yeah,
And this year
could be. I'm not saying it is, but it could be.
well, and this year they've released, they've tweaked the literacy standards. And from my understanding, it looks like they're getting a little bit more specific and bringing clarity, as well as math standards, as well as in Iowa. They've repackaged those and redone those. So we'll be digging back into those to determine, okay, what are we missing? What are we hitting? I think from what I've heard from teachers and principals, they're a little bit more pleased with what the standards are dictating and clarifying a little bit better what it is that we're supposed to be teaching kids. So. MAP test. Again, this year. This year's the first year we've done MAP testing, and again, we're just doing math at Lakeview, K 1, 2, 3. I put the growth chart and the proficiency. It's kind of hard to see. But with the quadrant here, it's achievement percentile versus growth percentile. And majority of our kids are in the high achievement and higher growth, and this is based on winter to spring from this year. I believe this is first grade. They're high achievement, but kind of on the cusp of higher growth. But we've got some good things going on here. And then as a school at Lakeview, we're right here. And then these colors indicate a percentile range. So like red is 1st to 20th percentile. So we have 21% of our students in kindergarten at the 1st to 20th percentile, and the blue is on the higher end.
Is that for the national percentile rank?
Yes. Mhm. Yep. It is the above 80th percentile and above.
Zero to
20.
They should be
20 to
equal,
40, 40.
equal rights.
Yeah.
20.
Right, should be. So then like kindergarten, just for example, so this is the growth, right? And then underneath it is the achievement. When you look at achievement, we have got 55% of our kids in the above 80th percentile and above.
What's achievement mean?
So just like proficiency, that's how
Grade
I'm,
level?
yeah. And then intermediate, they're in the high achievement, high growth. And I mean, and SIS really utilizes this data ongoing to help make some decisions. So that's why it's a little bit frustrating when
Do we take it in the fall?
we take it fall, winter, and spring 3 times. And again, this is winter to spring.
Does NWA give you your expected growth?
It does, yes. I don't have that here, but
How many,
Mhm.
were,
because Mel really does a lot with that, with her teams to talk about what's expected growth and what percentage of kids met expected growth. I want to say this last time it was over 80% of the kids. It might have been closer to 90% of the kids met their expected growth, which is good.
I won't take up all of this meeting time to geek out on this data stuff, but, it would be good in August then if the principals could come and say, what's the storyline behind this?
Mhm.
So what does this tell us?
Yeah.
How to translate this into?
Yeah.
That means this.
Sure.
X% of our students actually, hit growth targets that were to be expected.
Sure.
Or,
Mhm.
Relative to what we want, relative to even,
Yeah.
I think, what our strategic intent and plan was. If we have a strategic intent, is it 90 or 95% proficient in ELA and math?
Say that again. Ask your
What is
question.
what is our strategic goal for our academic?
There, we should be 90.
Yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
We don't.
most of the time it's been 95% or above.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we always ask the question why we should be, why aren't we hitting that?
Yeah.
Just given our clientele and the
Right.
work that we are doing. What's missing? We're constantly asking that question, what's the missing piece? Then just middle school, they just do math and they just do fall to spring. They don't take it in the winter. And again, just they're pretty strong.
This testing is what the math testing.
Map testing is one that, again, just like ISAS, it's not timed. Typically it takes about an hour for the kids to take it. And it's one of those, Cassie, help me. What do they call that? Where it adjusts? What's the term?
How the student answers it.
Yeah,
Adjust.
Adaptive?
Adaptive, thank you. So if a kid gets an answer wrong, it might give him a little bit easier question or a little different. If they get it right, they can keep going to the sky's the limit. That's the best thing about MAP is it will take you as far as you can go. And we've got kids that pretty impressive.
This data is more valuable than going back and looking at the one just taking and you have
Yeah.
results already.
Right.
I mean,
Mhm.
it's a big difference and it sounds like our staff is doing a lot better job of focusing on this.
Yeah.
And teaching. everybody.
Yeah, they utilize this like middle school math teachers. This is the data that they use to determine if there's intervention groups, how they want to adjust those pieces. And they use this and SIS, they use this to help determine what goes into Dreambox too. They make that connection, so.
Went to assessment conference at the end of June, and I like the way Colorado kind of phrased the different purposes of assessments. That first one we looked at Iowa, that's really made between the school districts and the state. That's like a handshake agreement. Our kids, this is how our school systematically is performing
Mhm.
against the state expectations. The MAP one, that's between the school district and the teachers in the classroom level. And then when you get down to the individualized different unit assessments that happen within the classroom, that's really between the teacher and the student, or the teacher and the parent.
Mhm.
That's where we, so from a different, like, who's the audience for these different types of measures? I really liked the way that they phrased that, because that's, to your point, Adam, this is what teachers with the administration look at and say, how am I progress monitoring? How is my academic progress doing within an academic year?
And then just some general, and again, the principals will touch more on this, but they wanted me to share a little bit about some of the things going on related to their building goals priorities, their last year's plan on a page. So Lakeview benchmark reading assessment, K3, on average 78% on or above grade level, just as a bigger piece. And again, with this benchmark data, they've got spreadsheet after spreadsheet of student data that they're constantly looking at ongoing throughout the school year. Behavior interventionists, that was a piece that was new this last year that we've invested in and have found great success with that. The behavior interventionists actually attended another training session this summer at College Community with Danielle Tice to just kind of refresh the interventions. But here's just a little bit of data from Lakeview. 46 students this last year used the behavior interventionist, which was Jolene Kennedy. 11 out of the 46 had an IEP or a 504 plan. 19 of those had multiple referrals throughout the year. And there were over 321 response calls this last year where Jolene came to the classroom or supported a teacher or student. And 75% of our teachers accessed the interventionists for support this last year. Intermediate school, Mel shared this with me. Their benchmark reading assessment, 63% honor or above grade level, 89% gained at least 2 levels this year. Writing, we use the on-demand writing assessment from Calkins Units of Study. 4th grade, 61% proficient. 5th grade, 31% proficient. And this assessment is not a standardized assessment. It's not computerized. It's all done with rubrics and teachers reviewing that information. And then math and WA, the 94% of students showed growth. Mel was really proud of that data point. And then they have behavior interventionist as well. 35 students, so 17% of their student population accessed the BI, and then 166 total intervention responses at the SIS building. Middle school, Mike shared some different data. They also do benchmark reading assessment. Sixth grade, 83% proficient, seventh grade, 89, and eighth grade, 92% proficient, which is pretty consistent with all the other scores. They also did a 40 book challenge. They've been doing, how long, we've been doing that 40 book challenge for like 7 years.
Long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like sixth grade, 51% of the sixth grade students met the challenge. Seventh grade, 55%, and then eighth grade, 92% of their kids met the 40. I think there's a correlation, right? Not causation, but correlation, I think there between that and some of their scores at eighth grade.
Even in the math scores.
Yeah. I know, right?
Proven, reading is
Mhm.
proven to be effective in increasing math scores too.
Mike wanted to share this, which I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, but he was kind of looking at last year's final quarter F's grades. Compared to this last year in sixth grade, there was a 25% decrease. Seventh grade, 62% decrease, in eighth grade, a 52% decrease from last year to this year.
Is that, I would like to know. Are we talking low numbers? What's the?
That's a great
Raw-
question. I don't know.
Raw numbers.
Right, I think it's just raw number. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good question.
I know.
You
If you-
went from
yeah.
2 to 1, yeah, then that's 52.
Right, right.
That makes a difference when
Yeah.
you're talking already.
I don't know. He's never brought this up before. Usually it's a high school conversation, so I don't know. And then high school, just some simple data here, just based on some of our goals. I had 45 students participating in Kirkwood Academies. Internships, we've had 24 participate, and then job shadow, 66 students participating. Yeah. That's it. Any other questions, thoughts?
One thought I had is kind of how deep we want to get in, if we consider what.
Mhm.
I could see us spending all the time
Oh, yeah.
in the meeting and then 9 o'clock we get to our business.
Yeah.
Well,
So, so I think from the board, I just want to know how deep we want to get into this and then,
Mhm.
then we can figure out how to schedule it.
Excellent idea.
yeah, well, Mel, she's gonna be on FMLA for a few weeks, so she, right around that August board meeting, so we could just do one building at a time, August, September, October, instead of all one time. Yeah. And just dedicate the focus on learning, college can go in August. And then, come in September.
My only worry about that is, we used to use one of the meetings to go to, and we haven't done that.
Okay.
In a while, I think the question really was sort of focus standpoint. Breaking it up, does change the audience, and so by doing that, you give us the ability to have everyone there, so maybe that if you've got a day when
Good work
all
session.
principals can be there and do it as a work session.
Mhm.
that-
Well,
Or
we
can let me know-
get the data in enough in advance that we can ask a few questions and do
Yeah, there you go.
some things.
Mhm.
And I'm happy to do a one-off session to.
Well, one of those are done during
Help
the day,
understand.
like, noon or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years since we've done that, right? Got a little board admin retreat kind of thing.
That might be better if we have focus and.
So.
Hmm.
We'll look at options. I think the thing is that we haven't done for a while and rather than that's, we can have some good discussion and I think having all going for particularly with high school and how does that work out? Would be a good use of time, so. And then we don't feel pressed to, because I have questions I'd like to ask, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that people need to get the DJ stuff and so,
Get it,
um,
I'm sorry.
so, next up on the agenda is
Okay.
Wait, what do you got?
Yep, just real quickly, I was in Cedar Falls last night, yesterday for mediation. WAMAC, Waverly's taking another crack at us, and so going through that. There's Iowa code, certain process we have to go through. The WAMAC hired an attorney. Waverly had their attorney, they presented their case on why they're the best fit for the WAMAC. We presented a unified front that, no, you're not even anywhere close to being a good fit for the WAMAC. The director of the girls' union and the boys' union were there to listen to everything. They'll go through everything that we submitted, and make a recommendation to the Iowa Director of Education, Snow. Director of Education, Director Snow, which she then will make the final determination, whether he's in or whether he's not.
Do they have
Or
also
something,
be
or
like,
something, or something different.
No,
there's no option to be,
A or B.
It's up to Snow?
Yep, she decides through Iowa code. And if she says Waverly's in, the conference is locked for 4 years. For 4 years, the conference is locked. So I know, well, South Tama, knowing that this was around the corner, they are desperately trying to bail. They have that strong feeling, they want nothing to do with Waverly. The number of schools, surprisingly, I mean, it's a unified front as far as just very, very passionate. No compromise opinion within the Walnut schools, they do not want Waverly. And, I mean, there's even talk, a district close, which would probably be the closest proximity to Waverly, has even, said we need to maybe even look at, new bylaws before in our conference bylaws to protect some of the schools from travel. You know, distance wise, I mean, Williamsburg would have almost an hour and 50-minute drive, almost a 2-hour drive, so. Within the directors stated, now the last time we went to mediation, the directors, their recommendation was no. But we have a new executive director with the girls union now. And she had some final comments that were just like, You know, you try to read the Supreme Court when they come out with their questioning, it's like, that doesn't sound too well. So we'll have to see, but by the end of next week, they'll have their opinion written. They'll give us a copy at the same time they send it to Director Snow. So that's where we'll sit right now.
A little bit of travel center goes back, once we raised in the past, which was, I'm not sure why they're on that, I figure out how to schedule those long road trips on weekends. It's like,
Friday or
so
Saturday.
we put in, I get no revenue standpoint, great, we'll play Mount Vernon on a Friday night. But we're gonna drive all the way up as far away as we can go on a Tuesday night in the middle of January for basketball.
We raised that issue too about, I mean, our kids, they've had basketball game up north, it's 11:30 before they
Yeah.
get home, and many of them are up at
Yep.
6 to either get to school for workouts or to get to Kirkwood for academies or such, and
Are we lobbying or doing anything to Snow to let her know our feeling? I mean, I'm sure.
It's all that she knows.
it's.
Does she know? Okay.
Well, yeah, we presented all. Very,
She was there?
no,
Oh,
no, but we not only presented it, but then there's hard copies of everything we presented. That'll go to,
Those record.
yeah. So that's where we sit there. As far as the bond project, intermediate is on schedule. All the stuff you see out in front of the building that was dug up and they tore up and now that was because as they were connecting the plumbing, the pipes for all the plumbing to head north, the elevation because of the rock, in the original building got a little too high to where if they continued to go that direction, it would have been the wrong elevation. So instead they came out and around to connect it that way. And so, that's why it was torn up in front, but that's being all put back together. Other than that, playground was actually delivered. You don't get a lot for $100,000. It's sitting in the shed on a couple pallets. But that 100,000 includes concrete, and then it's gonna be one of those, almost like our track, a real spongy spray-on type of surface to go under that. Insulation, Karen tells us probably September. So, for that playground, the canopy, if it wasn't delivered, if it's not delivered tomorrow, it'll be delivered early next week. And they'll start erecting the canopy of the transportation. They've just got one final pour as you enter in to the far north. There's a lane that they just need to finish pouring that.
is that gonna be ready to go for fall?
Yeah. Now, the exterior, yes, and then we'll just set, we've got some temporary offices in there in the middle section where Vince has always had his office.
Yeah.
And then, all that shelving that was back in there, we're removing, getting rid of some. Vince took some over to his bay where he does most of his work, and we'll temporarily house our drivers there until we get that section done. We're getting bids. We've broken it down into about 7 different projects, from demo to construction to plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical, and painting. Working on local bids to where we can just do it all with local contractors, and so that probably will start fall, probably October, maybe complete, middle of the year. So, we'll utilize all that, the rest of the space, and we'll go in and out of that for our buses to start the school year. Indoor facility project. We actually met with Watts Group. They've got a footprint now in our community, and talked about, if there's any partnership that, any contribution, any, advertising, anything like that, want to contribute. We had a great conversation with them, and they did hand us off to, a civil engineer that they use for a lot of things, just to give us a kind of a free bono opinion, because we're struggling with the best place to put that building, for, water runoff, for size, for just everything. And so getting some opinions on, is it back in that lot by the middle school where the kids practice football sometimes? Is it up on that hill next to the CFA at the high school? Which location wise, that might be our best spot, but now it's what size of a building can we actually fit on that spot? And is it large enough to our original plans as far as what we want to put in this? So getting some opinions there before we dive more into spending dollars on a true assessment and engineering and things like that. So, and then also looking, we talked a lot about the Lakeview project being just a different type of project because it's a remodel. And so, we're really developing a great relationship with Larson. We're doing a great job at the intermediate school. They've been very responsive, very creative with some of the solutions that they've run into. And we actually went up and talked to them in Independence, their main office, and they're gonna come down and walk through that elementary with us. We've walked through it twice with ISG, but we'd like to walk through it with a contractor and get through their eyes what they see as far as the most effective and efficient way to remodel that building. And so we're scheduling that the first 2 weeks of August. We'll try and get everyone together. So other than that, that's what our projects are. And then just so you know, admin will all return on Monday, the August 5th. Tuesday, we, as a team, will go up to the state convention. It's a lot like ISB, but for administrators. And then our new teachers will return on the 12th. All teachers return on the 20th.
The turf looks great.
And we'll keep, what's that?
The turf.
It's great. I forgot about the turf, yeah. Yeah.
Tearing down the building.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that's another project. So, we're using, Steve Henneberry. He went in to do, asbestos assessment. There's asbestos in the house. So,
Shocker.
yeah, exactly. So he's going to, write up a plan for us as far as, what's the word? Abatement, thank you. To abate that. And then we have gotten, a quote from, Chris Hanley, which, he's ready to go and we're ready to go. So we're just probably gonna have to,
That one over there,
yeah.
the house.
Yeah,
So what you're talking about?
the house that we purchased, yeah, and clear that as soon as we can. Yeah.
Okay, any other more committee updates this one? Consent agenda. You know, we will pull out, if not all, I can look. Motion by Musker, second by Walker. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? It's under unanimous. We have one action item, which is the school depository.
We have 3 action items. Oh, Josh, you need to refresh your screen. That's not right. There you go. No,
This is the one.
yeah, that's not true though. It's false.
Oh, we've got the free breakfast.
Yeah, that's
That should be under action item.
yeah, hold on just a second.
And the
I think
release
I
of reserve.
didn't update that a couple days ago. That's been. Yeah, that all, those are all in your action items. Why does it show up that way on here? Hold on. No,
So, regardless of what you can do with it, so I need a motion to amend the agenda, moving the items 2 and 3 from the commissioners to the action items.
See how it's on. Josh, will you refresh your screen again?
Motion by Musker.
But
Second.
there it went, yeah, okay.
I don't know, I heard function. Second.
Who was the, motion by Musker.
And I said
Jake,
second, yeah.
So, all those in favor of moving the ends from information item to action item?
I,
Anyone opposed? We unanimously amended the agenda.
Thank you.
So school repositories, there's
That's,
standard list, anything different from last year?
no.
It's an every year thing. We'll
We're
fiscal
gonna
year,
pause
we've
our
got
money.
authorized sewer. Even deposit money with it, how much we get out there, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the, school depositories as presented.
Dr. Lyle, Scott,
second,
second by roll calls, any discussion? We have made changes this recently, so I think it's what happened with the banks. Balancing money is. That's the responsibility of this business options.
Roll
All those in favor signify by saying, roll call,
Wolf, yes. Rockholz,
yes.
Alaska,
Yes.
Brown.
yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 3 student breakfast proposals, 24-25 school year.
You have some information about, the funds that we have in our, nutrition. We're 973,000. And again, the difficulty of spending that under the guidelines that were given by federal and state. So, I think this would be year 3 that we want to continue free breakfast for all K-12 kids.
Maybe that's why our scores went up. Definitely, there's some research
Yeah.
behind it, so.
Difference in the people out there, this is gonna happen, so this is good news.
So do you need a?
We have
motion?
funds, yep, we need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve free breakfast proposal for FY 25 as stated.
Motion by roll call, second by Alaska, discussion. What's the revision, this is this year of this, do we think there's another year of this, what? We talked about this in the past, which is at a certain point, when you do something every year for a period of years, the expectation is that it stays permanently. I think, you know, we're drawing that balance down. Is there a spot where we're gonna have to shift this around, or?
You know, I think last year we were at 1.1 million and now we're at 973,000, so I think we still are in good shape. Back in 2019, we were sitting at 534,000. We've almost doubled. And it's just, you know, just trying to find ways to spend that money. Becky's done a good job of replacing equipment. We bought a freezer, we done an outdoor walk-in freezer. I mean, we've done a lot of things and we're just trying to spend that down. The state tells us to spend that down. And we're doing everything we can, and the state recognizes that we're doing everything we can to spend that down without violating any finance laws, and so this is just a good way to give it back to the students and families.
I think it's important, enough of a program that if we see the trend continue to dwindle down, and we are, because of inflation or other reasons, we see that where that may come to an end, we should consider whether or not this is something we continue to offer and just fund it through program, you know, just take a hit. Much year later, I don't know, if that's possible, but
Yeah. Because there's-
when we get there, we can.
We're still 2 or 3 years away from the,
Right.
a while back, so I think, we just have to. Figure out where that, maybe year by year, but I do think that, at this point in time, we're not promising it's gonna be a forever thing, but we're trying to make it as effective as we can, so. Any other discussion? Any thoughts on free breakfast at the high school?
I enjoy it. That's my mom is too.
If there's no other discussion, all of in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Final item is the release of interpretive placement funds retained of $20,142.05 for the 30 days. Davis,
Yeah, that was just a percent that we held back from the entire project until the final punch list is done, and they're coming Thursday. ISG will come down, the engineer, that kind of oversaw it, HET will come up, and we'll do a complete walkthrough just to make sure that everything is exactly as we want, it's no flaws, anything like that. If approved, then we'll release that final percentage of what we owe them.
So I make a motion to release turf replacement funds. We changed of $28,142.05 within the next 30 days.
my only concern, we got a motion by Alaska, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Wolf. My concern is in the past, we've always done this return after the punch list.
It was scheduled today, it got delayed till next Thursday, so if it doesn't punch out, we still have time, we still have 30 days.
We have 30 days from today, but if they don't get it done within 30 days, we've still got to pay them even if they don't finish the punch list.
We could need a special law. That was the case, right?
Well, if we approve it.
Amend, or have any motion?
Yeah, I guess my concern would be just depending on pushing the punch list, within 30 days of the punch list being between rather than 30 days of the meeting. So that would be my recommendation, because we are not.
Yeah.
So,
So you would make a recommendation just to put that verbiage in there?
30 days of the punch list.
Yeah,
the superintendent,
Approved.
Yeah.
superintendent approving the punch list, I have the punch list. So motion by Alaska to amend his motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Wolfie. Now, will you, any other discussion on the amended motion? Hopefully it doesn't come into play, but I remember the punch list for the interview from my electric one, 2 years later, they were still working on the punch list, so yeah.
I appreciate your scars, Tim.
Yeah.
I think, Dan was one that listened to the pain every month, but I was like, how is that punch list not done? I'm like, they were paying the punch list for about 2 years ago. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Information item, we have a sheet on legislative priorities.
Which is group or
Your top 4, and you guys provide a top 3 with ISD, so you're like, Chris, you're listed top 4.
Yeah.
And then we will put them together in a table and determine what the ISD numbers are. And then we'll discuss them at the next meeting and,
Yeah, so email me or give me your sheet back with your name on it or whatever you choose.
How many?
4.
4.
You're talking for.
I know we're gonna.
Sorry, for, so this is, we have 1A, 1B,
Yeah.
so do you wanna go down to the subcategory level?
So that's, they used to give us a nicer sheet to actually have any numbered, and now we get this thing where we have to,
Yeah, no person.
we have to figure it out ourselves, so. And if you don't, if you see, if you don't priority, it's not here. then
We can add it.
we can add it and send it in, so. Because Jamie will tell you that there's always that nice list of ones that are added that never get the stuff, and sometimes a couple years later, they wind up. performing
On
out
there, yeah.
But, you know. I got nothing to board room tonight. Talking points, free.
Free lunch, great.
Okay. She is happy. She.
Perfect.
She did it best. Cassie,
I love the data.
I knew that was coming, Jamie.
I am excited about all the projects, like really getting rolling.
Uh,
Yeah, that's the thing, you start to see some of the money and everything kind of get into play here, but SAS and a lot of cool things happening. So,
I'll touch back on Cassie, the data, I think, I'm excited that we've got, new school years coming up here in just a few weeks, and, I'm happy with, data last year from last year with that, and stuff in here. Our next regular board meeting is March 15, 2024. We, what that would be, we have to do a work session on data, and we'll vote on that. I will be in Washington DC on August 15th, and I will be on the meeting that night, so
I also won't be here. But I can call in.
I'm likely not here, but I will let you know. If we're gonna make, if Dan can't make it, let us know. and we'll-
I can call in.
But Dan, when I talk to you, so that's fine. So it should be good to go. It's, if you realize it's fine, like, let it put on the calendar, like, oh. They're gonna be that night, so I do probably better like that, but I can. Which one, what is your?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, roll call. All in favor?
Aye.